I can't say good morning, I have to say good day or something, and I don't speak Ukrainian or Russian still. The first time I was here in Ukraine was actually in 2007, so I think this is the 6th time I am in Ukraine. And I have to be honest, I love to come here every year and see how the country and how the people of Ukraine are progressing. That's very comforting to me to see that things are getting much better in Ukraine every year. I saw that yesterday as well when I came in here. People are smiling. The cars look much better on the roads now than they did in 2007. Everybody at the hotel is smiling and asking me, how was your flight, how was your day, have a good day today, and so on. And in 2007, not everybody did the same thing. I'm going to talk about security, and first question for the audience is, what is most important, quality or security? And here's a hint, I work with security.
They are both equal.
They're both equal. Okay.
It depends on the project.
It depends on... Ooh. I'm talking to you afterwards. It's a good thing you're in the first row. That's going to make it much easier for me. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to ask for, I need a volunteer, and I need a beautiful lady to come up and assist me a little bit. Any beautiful ladies in the room?
Hello.
There's a lot. Well, here's the simple truth. All women are beautiful. Okay, please come on. So this is not dangerous at all.
Okay.
And my first question for you is, do you trust me?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure? That's completely correct answer. I'm 45. I'm single. I have a daughter aged 10 years old.
Oh, this is the reason to trust you. Because you have a daughter.
Yeah, that means I'm not dangerous at all, obviously. Well, what can I do to make you trust me?
I don't know. I'm not sure that you can.
Any suggestions? Any suggestions from the audience? What can I do to make her trust me? Spend some...
Yeah, so that she could grab some statistics or something.
Uh-huh.
And out of that statistics, she could work out the attitude.
Is there anything I can show her that would make her trust me?
You better not.
I'm not that kind of guy. Any other suggestions? Huh? I can tell my secrets to her. Probably both. Yeah, I can tell her a secret, and she can tell me a secret. Oh, that's a good question.
Ask somebody.
I'll tell her a secret. My password is 123456. How's that? So, okay. So, what if I give you my passport?
Okay.
You can't keep it. I actually need it on Monday morning. But you can have a look at it. Does that help in any way to establish trust?
First step.
It's a very easy first step to show my passport. Here it is, I'm Norwegian. Well, you can sit down again. Yeah? Thank you. That wasn't so bad, was it?
Probably.
No. Trust is important, very important. And now that I'm going to talk about security, I'm also talking about trust. One of the things that I do in Norway and in other countries, I teach journalists about how to protect their confidential sources when they are doing news stories. And I'm also talking to newspapers and television stations and so on how to create better trust in their product. And their product is news. And you go online, you want to read a newspaper online, maybe you want to watch television or listen to radio, and you want to trust whatever you're reading, watching television, or listening to on radio. So I'm going to say this. I'm Norwegian, and I trust my own government. Should I ask you if you trust your own government? No, I'm not going to ask you that question. Do people in Russia trust their own government? Nobody wants to answer that one. Okay, so what about people in the United States then? Do they trust Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump? Maybe not. No, I don't. Well, when I go online and I suddenly find a website looking like this, and you know, there are these two very beautiful Ukrainian women, and there's this white, pale white, fat Norwegian standing in the middle, taking a selfie. You know, it has to be a shady website. This, you know, this is not, doesn't look good at all. So I want to check the security of this website before I start using it, before I register for a conference, or before I put in any personal details about my account, you know, any secrets, as an example. So some of the basic tests I do could be something as simple as going to internet.nl. This is a website in the Netherlands. It's free to use. It just takes you a couple of seconds, basically, where you can test your internet connection, you can test any website you specify, or you can test an email address. So let's do that. So I typed in q-xss-protection, and it says that the website is not reachable using an IP version 6 IP address. Today on the internet, most of us are still using IP version 4 IP addresses. But the world and the internet is running out of IP version 4 addresses, so we are moving into using IP version 6. And if you are a modern website today, your website should be available using both IP version 4 and IP version 6. And the web page of q-xss.com is only available using IP version 4. It's not a security problem. It's not a trust problem. It's just saying that they are living in the Stone Age, basically. Do you want to be part of the Stone Age? No. So they should have an IP version 6 address. This test also says that the website is not protected from redirection to false IP addresses, and in parentheses it says DNSSEC. DNSSEC is a technology that we use with DNS. Does everybody know what DNS is? Domain name system? Okay. So when you're using DNS, you want to go to q-xss.com and you send a request to a DNS server saying, here is a name, give me the number. It's the same like asking somebody for their phone number as an example. The point is, it is very, very incredibly easy to create a false response to that initial what's the phone number or what's the IP request, so that the response you get will contain the wrong IP address and you will actually visit the wrong website. Using DNSSEC, you are putting digital signatures into the DNS information so that you can trust that the response you get is the correct one. Basically, it's like asking for somebody to show their passport. In a way, you can increase the trust in the information. It is correct. And they also say that the connection is not, or the connection is insufficiently protected with TLS. That is using HTTPS, which I just assume everybody knows what is, using an encrypted connection to the website. Now it says it's insufficiently protected. So we'll look a little bit into that. And I also run a test for email, so I type in q-xss.com again. Once again, they say the mail service for q-xss is not available using IP version 6. They also say that, no, it's not protected using DNSSEC. And it is also not protected using digital signatures for email, as in DKIM or DMARC. and there is no SPF record. SPF record is the very simplest thing to do. It's a very short line of text that you put into your DNS information. And you basically say that I have a domain. My domain name is my last name, Thorsheim. Thorsheim.net is my domain. And I have a line in my DNS configuration saying that if you receive email from per@thorsheim.net, you can look up in DNS and you will find information which email servers are allowed to send you emails that pretends to come from my domain name. And in my configuration it says there are 2 email servers in Norway that are allowed to send mail from my domain. And if you receive email from another domain on the internet, you can just discard it because obviously it is a fake email. And most companies, they don't even have a working SPF configuration in their DNS information. And it's one text line that you can generate in less than 2 minutes. It's incredibly easy to do. But still, most companies don't do that. And DKIM and DMARC are, again, digital signatures that can be applied to emails as well, so you can improve the trust level of the emails that are being sent. This can be boring, and I will give you a very simple trick for doing good presentations. Can everybody stand up, please? So you don't trust me, but when I ask you to stand up, everybody does that without asking why. Good observation, Per. Now, if you can all lift your hands up, like this. Why? Yeah, why are we doing this? It's not Sunday, we are not in church, are we? Well, it could be. Kind of like a church, but it's not. And why? No, keep your hands up, please. I'm the old guy, I can't do this more than like 4 seconds, but you're young, so you can do this. So what I'm going to do now, I want you to start moving like this. A little bit. Yeah, it looks really, really good. And just keep going. This looks really, really good. And the perfect selfie. Well, you can sit down again. So now I can put this selfie out on Twitter and say, oh yeah, it was a magnificent presentation. Everybody was so happy. And when you go back to your boss, like, look boss, everybody was, really, really impressed with my presentation, so thank you for that. I'll put it on Twitter, of course. Everybody in Ukraine is so happy about my presentation. Again, DNSSEC, I looked it up. The .ua root domain of Ukraine was actually digitally signed by DNSSEC on April 13, 2012. And I am on a quest, not only in Norway, but globally, to make companies and governments adopt the use of DNSSEC. Because whatever you do on the internet, you are using names like www.gov.ua to visit the pages of the Ukrainian government, as an example. And when you ask a DNS server, what is the IP address for the server of the government of Ukraine, you want the correct answer and not a wrong one. And using DNSSEC, the security, the trust of that response gets much better. So please ask companies and the government to adopt and start using DNSSEC wherever they can. It improves security online, period. So let's go back again to qfs.com. I'm interested in looking at the HTTPS configuration. I don't know, do you know SSL labs? Raise your hands. Ooh. Okay, so this is a standard tool for everyone to use when you are looking at the security of web pages. Very basically, all websites, no matter what they do, should be using HTTPS. That means that there will be an encrypted connection between your web browser and the web pages and the web server that you are visiting. And what you can do, you can basically just type in a host name and click to see what happens. And I will show you. Switch. Duplicate. So here it says, SSL report for qfs.com, certificate name mismatch. Passport. Did you actually look at it? Is it me?
Yes.
It is me.
Yes. And
Ah.
I managed to, like,
And you think this password is for real?
yes, it is.
Because there's a line on the front?
Yes, and in the, here you have some sign,
Yeah.
like this one. Yes.
Yeah, so it looks real. So this could be a digital certificate. It sort of is. There's actually a chip inside here. So when I go to the airport, when I'm going back home on Monday morning, they will be reading this chip inside this card electronically. And it even has my fingerprints on that chip inside here. So if they want to, at the airport, they can have my fingerprints and can check it against the fingerprint stored in here, so they know that the passport is with the same guy who is present physically. Now this says that there's a mismatch between the name in the passport and the website. I'm trying to visit qafest.com, but the certificate that is found here is issued to somebody else. So who is it? Well, let's check. Now SSL Labs is running a bunch of tests in the background to figure out there's a digital certificate on the qafest.com website. And now we're trying to figure out who does it belong to, which name has it been issued for, and how good or bad is the cryptography configuration of this web server. And it will give us a grade. Grade F, it's really, really bad, and grade A+, it is as best as it possibly can be. And we are at, waiting, okay. Takes a couple of seconds, maybe up to a minute. Because again, we want to go to QA-Fest. Before we go to QA-Fest, we want to be sure that, this is not a fake conference. They're just trying to steal our money, right? I mean, you have paid to come here, right? All of you. Did you pay yourself, or is it your employer paying? Yourself, raise your hand. And the rest of you, employer or paying? Oh, okay. Lucky you. 66%. Okay, well, I will just give you the answer. The grade that comes up is grade F. This is a website that you cannot trust at all. Not at all. Yet, you are still here. So if I go back to my presentation. Something that I also do is I also take a look at the email security of a website. And the way to do that, you can use checktls.com. It's a simple service to use. Again, I will do a demo for you. Yeah, there you have it. Grade F. And vulnerability, 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 vulnerability. And everything in red are also vulnerabilities down here. Weak, 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 weak cipher suites in the configuration. So again, there's no way you can trust qafest.com. Now for check TLS. So this is running live. What I'm doing now is, if I want to send an email to you, my client will send my email to my email server. My email server will send that email to your mail server. And then you receive it on your mail server, and then at some point your email client connects to the mail server and receives the email, and you can see it on screen. The connection between my mail server and your mail server is obviously over the internet. And on the internet there's lots of bad people, you know that already. And they can listen to connections. They can listen to data traffic going over the internet. And we don't like that, you know, we don't want people to listen to our secret conversations with boyfriends or girlfriends or anything else online. So what we can do with email, we can use something called StarTLS. It's an RFC standard that appeared in 2001, I think. It's RFC 3207. And basically what it does is my mail server, when I connect to your mail server, I will say, hi, this is Per's mail server. Can you use encryption? And then you respond back, yes, I can do that. And then all the data traffic will be encrypted. And the encryption will presumably be so good that nobody can see the contents of my email to you. They can't see that I'm sending you an email. They don't know what's inside. They can't see pictures, texts, anything. And StarTLS, if my mail server asks, do you use encryption? And if you don't, you would just reply, no, I have no idea what that is. Then my email will be sent unencrypted, and then bad people can listen to it. I started in 2004 with implementing StarTLS on mail servers in Norway. And 2 years ago, with the help from the Electronic Frontier Foundation in the USA and also the American Civil Liberties Union in the USA, I was able to convince Microsoft, Facebook, Google, Apple, and Yahoo, and a few others to start using StarTLS. So in just a couple of months, they all implemented support for StarTLS. And in less than 6 months, the adoption of StarTLS email on the internet went from less than 20% to more than 60%. And after doing that, I got an email from the security manager at Facebook, and also one security manager at Google. And they said, this was really good, Per. Thank you. Do you have a bank account number? And they sent me $15,000 just to say, thank you. That was nice. You know, $15,000, yeah, in Norway, that's like 3 beers. 4 if it's a happy hour. There's a general rule in Norway, as a foreigner, if you come to Norway, we say that there's no way you can get drunk because you will actually go bankrupt before you get drunk in Norway. So it's... But this will show you if the remote server uses StarTLS. And it's hard to see here, but this line actually says TLS is not an option on this server. So if I want to send any email to QA fast, I know that everything in that email can be intercepted by almost anyone on the internet, and they can read everything. They can even change the text before it arrives at qafast.com. That's not a good thing. So the next thing I want to test as well. Have you been to the restrooms today? It's a natural thing to do. You know, you can raise your hands. Next question. Raise your hand if there is a security camera inside the restrooms. Did you see a security camera or not? Oh, well, there are security cameras in the restrooms. Go look, at least one. In the men's room, I don't go to the ladies' restroom. Ever. One of the things you should do, I have never been to university. I never studied at university. I'm 45 years old. I started with computer when I was 11. And that's what I've been doing all my life. And my interest, wherever I go, I look for problems, I look for vulnerabilities, I look for things that can be fixed. I like to do that. Yesterday when I was flying here, there was one guy sitting next to me on Ukrainian Airlines going from Schiphol, Amsterdam, to Kyiv, and he asks me, pretty loud, do you know how to hack this airplane? And it's like, okay, listen, we are in the middle of the air, we're like very, very high up, and you have a friggin' life vest under your seat. It won't help if we go down. And if any of the staff on board hear you ask me that question, if I knew how to hack an airplane while we are in the air, do you think I would say, yes, it's that easy? I wouldn't do that. For websites, it's a little bit easier. This website, securityheaders.io, is incredibly useful, and it just takes a couple of seconds, basically, to use this one. They have a hall of shame, they have a hall of fame, some recent scans, grand totals. This is actually a university in Norway, so I'm kind of sad to see that this is on the top of hall of shame. So I'm trying to do something about that as well. And the scan results for qafast.com is grade F, failure. They don't have any of the basic web security features in place whatsoever. What does that mean? Well, there are a few options here that are testing. We are looking for X-content type options. It reduces the risk of client or your browser downloading malware from the server you are visiting. Basically, this is the configuration that you need to set on a web server, and the problem is pretty much gone. We're also looking for cross-site scripting protection. And this is also an example configuration. This is the best protection you can set. And cross-site scripting, anybody know about cross-site scripting? Okay, well, good. I don't have to talk too much about that. But basically, you should implement cross-site scripting configurations on your web server. And securityheaders.io checks to see if you have set this on your web server or not. We're also looking for X-frame options. X-frame options, anyone? One. Okay. X-frame option is basically an instruction saying that if you are visiting my web page, it should be displayed in a full window, in a full tab in Google Chrome or Firefox or whatever browser you are using. And if you are watching my page as part of another page, that should be disallowed. Again, the bad guys can make a web page that looks almost exactly like yours, but they will have a window inside their website where they show your website. And whatever you do, and you think you're doing it on the correct website, you are actually doing it on the website of the bad guys. So they're taking your web page and putting into a new window. With this option, you're saying that my page cannot be displayed inside another web page. We're also looking for HSTS, strict transport security. It's a very simple parameter, again, that you can configure on your web server. So if you have a web server using HTTPS encrypted connection, like you will do for banks as an example, An HSTS parameter tells the browser that from now on, and for the next 2 days, or 1 week, or 6 months, or a full year, the next time you come back to my page, web page, you should only be using HTTPS to connect. It's basically me showing you, the first time we meet, I show you my passport, and I want you to remember this for the next year. So if you meet somebody who says, "Hi, I'm Per Thorsheim," you already know what the passport looks like. And if it doesn't match the face of the person, something is wrong. Furthermore, security headers also looks for HPKP, which is public key pinning. The problem with HSTS is that the first time you visit a web page, you will try to initiate to connect to that website using HTTP, an unencrypted connection. You type in www.gov.ua as an example. That first initial request will be HTTP, plain text. Everybody can see it. Using HPKP, you are essentially giving information to Google, to Opera, and to Firefox, and you tell them that my website should only be accessed using HTTPS, and that information actually gets hard-coded pretty much into the browser. So the first time you type in www.gov.ua, the browser knows that I'm supposed to access this website using an encrypted connection. And you also have, inside the browser, you also already have information about the certificate that you will see on the web server you are visiting, so that it will be pretty much impossible for anyone using a fake certificate to get you to visit the wrong web page. Either you get to the correct web page, or you don't see anything at all. There's no error message where you like, would you like to proceed? It's incredibly dangerous. You can actually die, yes or no. And most people, they just click yes. But using HPKP, they don't get that question. Either you go to the correct website, or nothing happens. You just get a warning. Nope, sorry, something is wrong. Google is using this. Facebook is using this. Twitter is using this. Quite a few websites are starting to use HPKP. And that means that all the bad guys, even the bad governments, can no longer be eavesdropping on your connections. And last but not least, there's something called CSP, Content Security Policy. And it works like this. Here's an online newspaper. We connect to the newspaper and say, hey, we would like to read some news. And you get a web page back. It could be looking like this. This is a Norwegian web page. The interesting thing is that there are some ads on this page, like this one for jackets and this one. But what you don't know is that this, that looks like an article, is actually coming from an evil server. Some bad people have been able to inject this article into the web page. If you click that, you will get a computer virus on your computer. And this is what happens if you don't have a content security policy. When you have a content security policy, you connect to the newspaper website, and not only do you get the web page in return, you also get a CSP, a policy. And that policy says that on my web page, I have some content, but there are also ads on my web page that are coming from a different web server. And the CSP is a list of where are those external resources and what kind of content should you receive from those external websites. It is very common today for the bad guys to inject malware, fake advertising into legitimate websites, and when you click those pages or articles, you get a computer virus. Sorry. So, how can this be applied for reality? Well, as I said, I trust my government. Sometimes I even trust the newspapers that we have in Norway and television stations. So I had a look at some of the Ukrainian newspapers. Fakti Kommentari, Sevodnia, Express, I can't pronounce all these correctly, sorry. Are they using IP version 6? No. Do they have HTTP support? No. Do they have DNS support? Yes, one of them. Do they have Start TLS for email? Yes and yes, but it's a self-signed certificate. It's just like me creating my own passport. Have you ever tried, when you were 17 and going to a pub and like, oh, this is me, and it's actually the passport or driver's license from your older sister or something. It's the same concept. Do they have HTTPS support at all? No. Do they use the default? No. Do they have any logins using HTTPS? No. It's all red. Basically, I'm saying that all the reporters at these newspapers, they can be really good. That's okay. But you can't trust the websites of these major Ukrainian newspapers. When you go and look at their webpage, it is very difficult for you to find out if the article you're reading is actually written by the newspaper, or if somebody else have placed it there and replaced the real article between the server and your web browser. And I was thinking, well, should I do the same test for the Foreign Ministry of Ukraine? And should I do it for the National Bank of Ukraine? And should I do it for the government webpage, the standard portal for the Ukrainian government? And I did, but there's no point in showing you a completely red page. But that's a fact. And if any of you, and I hope I will make it back to Norway on Monday, but if any of you know people working at newspapers, or if you know anyone working for the government, operating web pages, please tell them that there was this Norwegian guy here in Ukraine on Friday, and he was really pissed because you have really, really bad security, and you need to fix that. So please do that when I'm gone. There's also something else called HTTP 2. And this is just a demo. I'm just going to give you a screenshot. Because again, these Ukrainian newspapers, none of them have support for HTTP 2. The slides will be available as a PDF as well. I will give it to QA Fest afterwards, so you will be able to find them online. But simply put, this is a screenshot of HTTP 2 demo. HTTP 1.1 is the protocol version we are using now when you are fetching web pages from a remote web server. HTTP version 2 has now been standardized. And if you implement support for that on your web server, web pages will load much faster. Simple example, this picture is actually many small pictures put together on the web page. And if you load them using HTTP 1.1, it's 3.39 seconds. If you do using HTTP 2, it's 1.4 seconds. Speed is a very important part of usability, and you do usability testing as well, and you want things to go as fast as possible. That means ask the web server administrators to implement HTTP 2 support, period. So I'm using Google Chrome. There's an HTTP 2 and s.p.d.y indicator plugin for Google Chrome, which is fabulous. It just gives you a very small icon that says, this website is using HTTP 2. That's it. Very simple. Any page you visit, you can see if they are using that. And for security headers, you can go use the website, but you can also find the plugin securityheaders.io for Google Chrome. And then you have just one button in your toolbar in Chrome. Whatever website you go to, click the button, and in 2, 3, 4 seconds, you will see the grade from F to an A+. Last but not least, there's a plugin for DNSSEC, which also does the same thing. Every site you go to, the plugin will automatically check if this domain has been signed by using DNSSEC. And by that, I will ask for questions.